Well, hello. Today's movie is the 1979 TV pilot for Captain America. Steve Rogers has just left the Marines and is traveling in a van around the countryside. There in his attempt on his life by pouring oil on a steep road so his van would crash. A scientist friend of his father wants him to use an experimental serum called Flag. Rogers refuses the offer and later finds a friend who has been murdered. He is severely injured when the evil guys run his bike off the road. They save him by using the Flag serum, which enhances his strength and senses. He is given a powerful motorcycle by the government. He becomes Captain America and goes after the evil guys who have stolen plans for a neutron bomb. Captain America intercepts the truck carrying the bomb to blow up Phoenix so they can steal billions in gold. Steve Rogers then agrees to work for the government as Captain America. So, before the MCU and Chris Evans had their successful Captain America, there were several attempts to also make Captain America. And this was probably the first, and it was done in 1979. And it starred Reb Brown and cost CBS $150,000. And the director, Rod Holcomb, almost got fired for it because they weren't very happy with it. But, they didn't fire him, and he went on to have a successful career in directing in TV. And it was aired in January 1979. And, Marvel was very active in trying to push a TV series for their characters in the 70s. The Hulk, Spider-Man, Namor, the Human Torch, Doctor Strange, and Captain America were all, floated around. Only the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, was a success, thanks to Kenneth Johnson, with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. It had a successful run. Spider-Man did get a series, very short-lived one, but it had enough episodes, like maybe, to splice into like 6 movies later on they could release. And Doctor Strange did get a pilot, which we'll someday go over. Namor was dropped because at the time there was also a show called Man from Atlantis, which they thought the concept was too similar. And also the Human Torch was just abandoned because they were afraid that kids would set themselves on fire. And of course they did Captain America. They actually did 2 pilots. This was the first one. And it starred Reb Brown, who of course went on to be pretty much a B-movie actor. I mean, he made some great B-movies like, Mercenary Fighter, Yor, The Hunter from the Future, Strike Commando, Robo War, and of course Space Mutiny. But he was a good actor, I think. He held his own in the movie Uncommon Valor with some pretty top-name Oscar talent there. And it's just kind of it's obviously a bad movie. I think it's not really thought of much, but I kind of like this movie. I mean, if you think about it as being a low-budget pilot from the 70s, it could be kind of fun. The serum they give him, Flag, stands for full latent ability gain. And there was a bit of, when you were watching this movie, you could see that there's still some influence, like from the $6 Million Man in that, because when he does his, special jumps or shows of strength. They're just kind of little doo 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 kind of tune to emphasize that. And I think it's interesting that this might have been actually made into a series if the licensing fee was not so high, because they decided to make it make the licensing fee 50,000 an episode. Well, let's say like the Incredible Hulk was only 2,500 an episode, and so I think if maybe we might have gotten a Captain America TV series, which I would have found fun. I think it had a fun idea. Yeah, it was cheesy, but it can be fun. And the two movies that were made, and I'll do the second movie sometime later down the road, were fun movies. And just kind of if you're if you have a interest to see what they were doing with Captain America before the MCU, you could check this out. And if you stuck with me this long, I thank you. You're a unique individual.